Howdy hi! Today I'm doing a challenge. I'll be drawing the 5 senses as character designs. I'm quite excited for this one because character designs are something that I struggle with a little bit because I'm kind of a minimalist, so anything that's especially intricate I struggle to create. And though I'm not going to worry too much in that respect, it is something I like to improve on at my own pace. For today I'm just going to try and home in on making sure that the words at least pop into your head when you see them. I got the idea from watching Luigi here on YouTube, who creates a plethora of gorgeous character designs, and they have actually done the senses as characters, so thanks for the inspiration, Luigi. I will be drawing 5 urban designs for the senses sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Also, I am doing a naming raffle for my YouTube mascot. The raffle will be going on until the 5th of April, and all you need to do is provide a suggestion for a name in the comments of this specific video. The winner will receive a full-body character illustration such as the ones you will see in a second. It will be 1 name submission per user, and will operate on a first-come, first-chosen basis, so sorry, if you comment multiple names, only the first will be counted. I obviously will have some say in the names I choose to pick from, so no trolling please, and they will all be put into a name randomiser. If the name is submitted by different people, unfortunately, only the first person I see submitting the name will be put for. So if you have a suggestion, then you better be quick. Now, we do have 5 characters to draw, so let's not waste any time and get into it, shall we? Okay, so let's begin with sight. So with this one, I thought it would be infinitely more fun to make a character that was an absolute eyesore, as opposed to drop dead gorgeous, which I believe was the direction that Luigi went in. Beauty is subjective, obviously, so I wanted to illustrate it more in the clothes than the character themselves, and I decided on this young kid character who just really doesn't know how to dress herself. I got this idea from thinking about when I was younger and had like no fashion sense myself, and my mum would say to me, "Jesus Christ, Fiona, go back upstairs and get changed. You look a bloody sight." Listen, growing up in the 2000s, alright, it was a blessing and a curse. No one knew what fashion was, especially not the kids, like come on. But yeah, with that in mind, I decided to draw like a young kid character who is like super bright-eyed and cute, if not a bit glaring to look at with all the bright colours and clashing patterns going on. She obviously hasn't been peer pressured into conformity just yet. I don't know if anyone else had this, but where I lived, all the kids had this habit of tucking their pants into our socks because we all got taught to ride bikes by our school road safety person, and that was one of the first things that he instructed us to do. But then, for some reason, it became like a fashion statement, as well as this like really bizarre sense of status, like look at me, I know how to ride a bike and you don't, even though literally anyone could have tucked their pants into the socks with or without a bike. In all honesty, I should have done that for both feet. I don't know what possessed me to give her like mismatched shoes, because looking at it now, it was taking the concept a bit further without having similar aspects tied in together in other places, so it just looks dumb. I gave her some very bright carrot top pigtails because giving her the brightest natural hair colour just seemed to make sense, and a whole bunch of neon clips, scrunchies, and wristbands that went over her sweater. Gotta be honest, I was very proud of the patterns I did for the clothes in this one. On their own, they would probably look really nice, but together, it makes my eyeballs shrivel just a tiny bit, which is exactly what I was going for, you know? The sweater looks especially like something I would wear on a breezy autumn day, which, make of that what you will. I'm not divulging my full fashion catalogue. Self-roasting aside, I think the drawing itself looks really cute. There were definitely some parts I could change and improve, like the shoe situation, but hey, for a first draft design, that stuff can always be improved on later. I also hope this makes people think that character ideas like this don't always have to be what you expect. Sometimes it's fun to go about things in a bit of an unconventional way. Next up, we have sound. At first I wasn't sure how to go about this one because obviously, you know, sound is formless. In the end, I tried to hit my focus on aspects of clothing that made sound instead of just going the easy route and drawing a conductor or a rock star, for example. Yeah, so with this one, back in the city where I was studying, there was a guy that you would see walking around with this gigantic portable boombox hanging off his hip. It was literally the same size as a small child, and you always heard him before you saw him, so that was my inspiration for this guy here. Unrelated, but there was also another guy you would see before hearing, and it was this guy in a mobility scooter that drove at like 100 miles an hour, and his scooter was completely decked out in little keychains and flags. I missed that city. There were some really fun regulars you'd see walking around. Like, you do not know fight or flight instincts until you hear Mariah Carey quickly getting louder and louder behind you, knowing that if you don't jump out of the way quick, you're gonna be a splatter mark on the pavement. Like, I'm sorry, you just don't. But anyway, I gave him a portable speaker, albeit a smaller one than the guy I got the idea from. I gave him some chains that clinked around and a whole bunch of zippers on his pants that gave that kind of 90s hip-hop look. Oh, and I gave him flip-flops because I remembered this funny story about a kid that called his teacher a slapper, and when they asked why he said that, it was because her flip-flops were slapping on the floor. And that just made me laugh, so yeah, flip-flops just seemed like a perfect choice because of that. Drawing the foot kind of frustrated me though, I'm not gonna lie. I also added a tattoo behind his ear because a while ago now I saw some tattoos that were designed for people who are mute or hard of hearing, and I thought that seemed like a really good idea. I'm partially deaf myself and can understand that telling someone you're deaf is a bit weird because for the most part, a lot of people like to assume that you're trying to get away with ignoring them, especially when you're like me and you don't have like a hearing aid or anything. My hearing isn't especially shocking yet, thankfully, but I can imagine it gets exhausting having to explain to every new person you meet why you're not understanding what they're saying. But yeah, seeing something like that become mainstream would be really cool because I know a few people who tend to be quite insecure about pointing out their disabilities to others. Overall, I think this is one cool looking dude. I added some drumsticks for no other reason than to occupy his other hand, so he looks like one of those buskers who drums on buckets in city centres, kind of. Mad respect to those guys, honestly. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. Thirdly, we have taste. Now, obviously there are different ways we could have gone with this one. There are different flavours, like sweet, bitter, sour, etc. There are different foods I could have based the whole design on and all that stuff, but I knew there was no way I was going to be able to incorporate all that in one character and make it look good. So because I have a gigantic sweet tooth, I went in the direction of sweets. Not gonna lie, I was also listening to Juice when drawing this, so I kind of passively modelled the character off of Lizzo. With this one, I imagined a dress that looked a bit like cake layers and just basically built around that. I thought of giving her like strawberry laces for locks, but when I was trying to think of what to put on the corset, I ended up using a ribbon that looked kind of in that similar vein, so instead I gave her some pink afro hair that resembled candy floss. Or I guess cotton candy is the proper name. I gave her some jewellery inspired by sweets to try and push that kind of Candyland aesthetic. She has a cinnamon roll earring, she's got some jammy dodgers on her necklace, love hearts on the sleeves and shoes, and a bonbon bracelet. I used to actually have a bunch of novelty food jewellery during my like embarrassing teen years, so drawing the necklace was actually really fun and it was a little bit nostalgic, not gonna lie. I'm not sure where the inspiration for this general look came from. It looks like it could be a drag outfit, so maybe a bit of RuPaul was leaking into my psyche there. Will she be the next drag superstar? Well, she doesn't have a voice, so probably not. Actually no, saying that, they mostly lip sync, don't they? I was quite happy with the body shape on this one. I've been trying to put a bit more work into drawing fat characters, and from the looks of it, it feels like it's starting to pay off, because there does seem to be a bit of improvement. You guys probably won't even know that because it's mostly been in sketchbooks and such, but the fact that I'm feeling confident enough to even draw this body type in a video is proof enough for me at least that something is getting better, whatever that may be. But yeah, I'm happy with this one. I think she's really pretty, and could definitely give some of those shadier queens a run for their money. Next up is Touch. And with this one, I wanted to experiment a little bit. You guys have seen my art style, bold black lines, muted colours, all that jazz. With Touch, obviously because we can't reach out and feel any textures, and because they're also quite hard to convey in a formulaic style such as mine, I decided to mess around with the other brush settings in Clip Studio Paint. Finally. So I started with thinking about how to communicate touch properly, and the first thing that came to mind was one of those luxurious looking dressing gowns that you would wear when the police comes to investigate your late husband's sudden unexplained death. You know the ones. And yeah, the idea just kind of came from there. I think I was manifesting the feeling of just coming out of a nice hot bath, you know, you're squeaky clean, you've had a face mask on, you're all moisturised. Moisturise me. And you've slipped into some super soft jammies and whacked a nice fluffy gown on top. I didn't really have any of those fluffy brushes that would achieve what I was going for, so I blocked out the shapes of the fluff and used the finger smudge tool on the softest setting. There are obviously some dodgy parts, but this was a first attempt at it. I'm pretty happy with it, because it does definitely scream fluff when you look at it. And for the hair, I wanted her to have this very soft, very glossy looking hair that you just want to run your fingers through, so I took a jab at using one of the gouache brushes so that I could paint in the sheen of the hair gradually, and so that it could have like the illusion of strands. Obviously she's got some sick levitation powers and could probably rip you apart with her mind Wanda Maximoff style, but hey, just don't touch her and you'll be fine. There's a word for that, isn't there? Is it juxtaposition? Because, you know, she's touch and you can't touch her. I don't know. Overall, I like this. I'm pleased that I could make the texture look like an actual textile, as it's something I obviously don't do very often. She looks just like how I wanted her to. A beautiful widow who may or may not have framed her husband's death and tore him apart with her mind powers. My kind of woman, honestly. And last but not least, we have smell. Now, this was a tricky one, because how the hell do you make an urban design from the concept of smell and make it appealing? I don't want to go the stinky route, like making a character that reads as repugnant, but I also didn't want to go into the flowery perfume route, because honestly, does anyone actually understand what is happening in perfume ads? Because I don't, and that's when inspiration struck me. Grease. Not the country, the musical. What could be Grease lightning? I had the idea to create like a greaser kind of character who took pride in his coif just as much as his wheels, because if there's one thing I know about cars, it's that petrol absolutely reeks. But you know what also reeks? Hair products, most notably hairspray and also men's hair grease for some reason that I found, and that is my idea. So there isn't much to say on this one because of that thought process, because it was pretty straightforward. I gave him a big pompadour, gave him some scruffy plain clothes that have splashes of petrol on them, some dirty grubby hands from modifying his ride, and a can of hairspray that's probably given his hair the same consistency as plastic. A very stark contrast to our last character. Do you guys reckon these characters could all be like a family? I reckon that would be really cute, just one big dysfunctional weird family. I gotta say, this one isn't my favourite, and that's probably why it got left till last, because it's honestly very plain in concept and I don't think smell is what comes to mind. I think grease is what comes to mind, so I guess I made a grease OC. Oh well. I mean, that said, I like the picture in any case, I like the pose, and I like that I'm getting more confident with drawing men lately, so it still counts as a win for me in those respects. It's just one of those cases of my ideas and motivation running dry towards the end, I think. That's kind of what happens in these challenge videos where you're rushing to do a bunch of illustrations all at once. But regardless, there we go. That is the 5 senses as urban character designs. Thank you so much for watching, and I just want to say, we recently just hit 100 subs, so a big thank you to everyone that has stuck around and decided to indulge in my content. It really means the world. Thank you. I hope I can keep you entertained from here on out, and here's to any future growth. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and again, if you want to take part in the art raffle, leave a name and a suggestion in the comments before the 5th of April. Thank you again for watching, and stay safe everyone. Bye!